For decades, Iran and Israel fought a shadow war, proxies, assassinations, cyber attacks, but avoided direct confrontation. That changed in June 2025 when simmering hostility erupted into open warfare. Israel saw Iran's nuclear program as an existential threat and vowed to stop it at any cost. Iran, meanwhile, accused Israel of sabotage and built up a ring of fire with missiles and regional allies. This arms race only heightened tensions, making war seem inevitable. The immediate trigger Israeli intelligence believed Iran was on the brink of building a nuclear bomb. Under pressure, Israel's government launched a preemptive strike to cripple Iran's nuclear ambitions. Explosions rocked Iran, and the shadow war turned into a direct, brutal conflict. Sirens wailed, skies filled with missiles and jets, and the world watched, fearing a catastrophic regional war. The question was no longer if Iran and Israel would fight, but how destructive the battle would be and if anyone could stop it. The calculations of deterrence had failed, replaced by the harsh reality of open warfare. For millions, the abstract threat of war became a terrifying reality overnight. The war began with shocking speed. On June 12, 2025, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a massive surprise air campaign targeting Iran's nuclear sites and military infrastructure. Iran responded with hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones, overwhelming parts of Israel's air defenses for the first time. Israeli cities were hit, hospitals damaged, and daily life upended. The conflict raged in the air, at sea, and online, with both sides launching cyber attacks to cripple infrastructure. Airports shut down, and the world feared a wider Middle East war. After a week of escalating violence, the United States intervened, joining Israel and dramatically increasing pressure on Iran. This intervention paved the way for a ceasefire, but not before one last massive show of force. The two-week war pushed the region to the brink, revealing the destructive power both nations possessed. The world saw that their long-feared war was no longer hypothetical. It was real and devastating. The fighting demonstrated how quickly the region could spiral into chaos. The cost was immense, and the threat of escalation remained. The world held its breath, hoping the worst was over. As the conflict escalated, the U.S. shifted from diplomatic support to direct military action. American B-2 bombers dropped massive bunker-buster bombs on Iran's fortified nuclear sites, sending a clear message: there was no hiding from U.S. power. Simultaneously, U.S. diplomats, helped by Qatar, opened back-channel talks with Iran, offering a stark choice. Media group: U.S. diplomats shaking hands with Qatari officials, diplomats in formal meeting room, flags of U.S., Iran, and Qatar on negotiation table at its stock at distribute _equally, cease attacks or face overwhelming force. Iran signaled readiness to negotiate, launching a limited, pre-warned strike on a U.S. base to show defiance but avoid escalation. The combination of military might and urgent diplomacy worked. On June 24th, a U.S.-brokered ceasefire was announced. America's intervention was decisive, showcasing its power, then pivoting to peacemaker. The world exhaled, but the future of U.S. relations with both nations remained uncertain. After the ceasefire, leaders on all sides rushed to declare victory. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu called it a historic win, claiming Iran's nuclear threat was eliminated and thanking the U.S. for support. Iran's President Pezeshkian praised his country's resistance, highlighting missile strikes that penetrated Israel's defenses and vowing readiness for dialogue. President Trump presented the ceasefire as a major diplomatic achievement, taking credit for averting a global crisis. Each leader shaped the narrative for their own people, glossing over the destruction and loss. The reality, deep divisions and mistrust remained. Leaders needed to justify the war's high cost to their citizens. The speeches were as much about domestic politics as international image. The first draft of history was being written by the victors amid the ruins. Behind the leaders' boasts, civilians bore the brunt of the war. In Iran, Israeli airstrikes killed hundreds, injured thousands, and displaced over 100,000 people. In Israel, Iranian missiles shattered daily life. Sirens, bomb shelters, and deadly strikes on cities and hospitals. Schools closed, businesses shuttered, and airports shut down, isolating the nation. The U.S. and neighboring countries evacuated tens of thousands, highlighting the regional scale of the crisis. The trauma lingered long after the ceasefire. In Gaza, separate fighting with Hamas added to the suffering, with hundreds more killed. For families on all sides, the scars ran deep. The war was a brutal reminder. Civilians pay the highest price, caught in a conflict they never chose. The war wasn't just fought with bombs. It raged in cyberspace and the media. Both sides launched cyber attacks, targeting power grids, communications, and civilian infrastructure to sow chaos and fear. Hackers tried to disrupt military command systems and essential services, showing that modern war has many fronts. Simultaneously, a fierce information war unfolded, each side spreading propaganda, misinformation, and psychological operations to control the narrative. Conflicting reports about the damage to Iran's nuclear program fueled confusion worldwide. The fog of war was thicker than ever, with truth itself a casualty. In the 21st century, controlling the story can be as powerful as controlling the skies. The digital battlefield proved decisive in shaping perceptions and morale. The June 24th ceasefire brought relief, but peace felt fragile. Mistrust and anger lingered. Both sides accused each other of violations almost immediately. Leaders issued threats, and militaries stayed on high alert. The core issue, Iran's nuclear ambitions, remained unresolved, with reports suggesting only a temporary setback. The International Atomic Energy Agency warned of missing enriched uranium, fueling fears of future conflict. The ceasefire stopped the fighting, but not the animosity. For the Middle East and the world, the question remains, is this peace, or just a pause before the next war? The countdown to another, possibly more devastating conflict may have already begun.